He kicked open the garage door like he owned the place, 18 years old. BMW parked sideways in my driveway and demanded I hand over my lake cabin for his prom night. His mother, Christina Collins, the almighty HOA president, stood right behind him, smirking like she'd already won. They thought I was just some mechanic they could bully. They had no clue my wife was the chief of police, and they sure as hell didn't realize the FBI already had them in their crosshairs. Act 1. The beginning of trouble. It started like any other Friday. I was under a truck at my shop, grease on my hands, radio humming in the background. That's when I heard tires squeal and a car door slam. "Where's Greg Rivera?" A kid's voice, cocky, loud, like he'd practiced in the mirror. I slid out from under the truck and saw him. Jack Collins, 18, fancy jacket, expensive sneakers, phone in hand, like it was part of his arm. He didn't even look at me, just strutted in like he owned the place. "You're giving me the lake cabin for prom," he announced, like he was ordering coffee. I actually laughed, thought it was some prank. But then I saw her Christina Collins, his mother, standing there in heels that probably cost more than my entire tool set. HOA president, city power broker, queen bee of Pine Valley. She had a leather folder in her hand, and that smile, the kind that said she wasn't asking. "Greg," she purred, "Jack needs your cabin for his prom celebration. We can make this easy." Or, she tapped the folder. "We could take a closer look at your zoning compliance. Cabins on county land can be complicated." I wiped my hands, met her eyes, and said, "You realize my wife's the chief of police, right?" Christina chuckled, actually chuckled. "Laura, please, she writes traffic tickets. Don't overplay your hand." That one stung, not because she insulted my wife, but because she said it like she knew she was untouchable. And that's when I realized this wasn't about a party. It was about power. Escalation and the twist. Things didn't cool down. They escalated fast. 2 days later, I got a call from the Hendersons, a family that had booked my cabin every Memorial Day for the past 5 years. They sounded nervous. "Greg, we heard the cabin isn't safe anymore. Some issues with permits." They canceled. So did 5 more bookings in the span of a week. My income, gone. Then came the letter county inspectors scheduling a random compliance check. On the bottom corner, scribbled in pen, "Some people don't like losing." And then Richard Collins, Christina's husband, slick lawyer, showed up at my shop. He leaned on the hood of a customer's car like he was posing for a magazine and said, "Greg, my wife asked me to remind you that lawsuits can be time-consuming." That night, I sat at my kitchen table, invoices stacked like bricks around me, bookings gone, threats piling up, my reputation already tanking online thanks to Jack's little social media campaign. He'd posted a video calling me a bitter old mechanic hoarding a lake shack. Thousands of kids cheered him on, and I broke. I stared at those papers, thought about ripping them up, calling Christina and just saying, "Fine, take the cabin." Would have been easier, less humiliating. I even whispered it out loud. Maybe I should just give up. But then I looked up. Laura, my wife, was across the table. She didn't say a word. She just slid a folder toward me. Inside were call logs, photos, copies of the letters. She'd been keeping track, building a case. She locked eyes with me and said softly, "Greg, if you let them win now, what lesson do we teach our daughter? That bullies win." That power excuses everything. That's when the guilt turned into fire. I decided to fight. And here's where the twist came in. I wasn't fighting alone. Maria, my neighbor, the quiet woman with the garden full of roses, confessed she was actually a federal agent. She told me Christina had been under investigation for 18 months. Money laundering, racketeering, the whole list. And get this, Jack, their golden boy, had secretly recorded a fight with his parents. In it, Christina admitted moving money through Youth Foundation accounts. She thought she was scolding him. He thought he was gaining leverage. Instead, he handed us the smoking gun. I didn't even need to trap them. They were already trapping themselves. Act 3. The showdown. It all came to a head on Memorial Day weekend. Christina showed up at the cabin with a county inspector, a code official, and some private investigator in tow. Jack strutted beside her. Phone out, Streaming live. Greg. Christina barked. This property fails multiple safety codes. We'll be shutting it down unless you agree to community use for Jack's event. Jack turned his camera on me. Guys, watch this old man beg. I didn't beg. I stood there, arms crossed, watching as they swarmed around with clipboards, pointing at perfectly fine beams and railings. The inspector's face looked uneasy, like he knew he was being used. And then headlights cut across the driveway. A caravan of unmarked SUVs rolled up. Doors slammed. Out stepped Laura, my wife, dressed head to toe in tactical gear. FBI agents fanning out behind her. She looked at Christina, eyes cold, and said, "Christina Collins, you're under arrest for money laundering, racketeering, and obstruction of justice." The look on Christina's face, I'll never forget it. Shock first, then rage, then fear. Real fear. Jack froze midstream, his precious audience watching as his mother was cuffed on live camera. Comments poured in faster than he could read them. Is this real? She's going to jail. Dude, your mom's corrupt. Richard tried to bluff his way through, waving his hands, shouting about warrants. But Laura cut him down in 2 words. Signed, sealed, and then Jack, shaking, now pulled out his phone and said, "I've got recordings." His voice cracked. He handed it to the FBI agent like a kid handing over a broken toy. In minutes, it was over. Christina in cuffs, Richard cornered, Jack crying, and my cabin quiet again. Ending. I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. I just watched the SUVs disappear into the night and listened to the lake settle back into silence. Because here's the thing. Power, money, followers, they all burn fast. But truth doesn't burn. It buries. A final lesson. Arrogance can buy you time, but it can't buy you freedom.